Video 3 of Chapter 1. Let us see the features and functions of an operating system. The most popular operating systems which are used nowadays are Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 8.1, Windows 10, Mac OS X, and Linux. So these are the names given of the operating systems. Just like we have Windows 10, Windows 7, Windows 8. We also have an operating system that runs on Apple computers, which is known as Mac operating system X. So Mac OS is Mac operating system and X stand for, sorry, X is the number. And Linux. Linux is another software, sorry, Linux is another operating system that you can purchase from the market. So most operating systems have certain features and functions in common. Some of these features are: number one, processor management. So we have already learned what is a processor. Processor, also known as the central processing unit or the CPU, is the brain of the computer. It is one of the most important functions of an operating system to manage the processor. Now, how do we manage the processor? The operating system ensures that each process or an application. So what is a process? Process is your application. And what is an application? With an example, let's see an example like Notepad, Microsoft Paint, Microsoft Windows. These are all applications. So the operating system ensures that each application receives enough time from the processor to function properly. So if I want to run more than one application, I should give enough time for each and every one. Just like in the class, we have got different students. We should try to focus on each and every student, not just one. In the same way, the processor should also give time to all the application, not only just to one application. It also tries to utilize as many processor cycles as possible for the real-time work. Now, what is a processor cycle? When the processor works, it will send a request to read the data and it will come back and fetch the data and come back to itself. So what is a processor cycle? Let's say, for example, I want to know some information from a person sitting in the next class. So I will send a student that go to that class, ask that person what the person is saying and come back. So the student goes to that person, takes the information and comes back to me. That process of going and coming back is called one processor cycle. So it also tries to utilize as many processor cycles as possible for the real-time work. So who is trying to utilize the processor cycle? The operating system. These are the processes rather than application which are controlled, managed, and executed by the operating system. So all the processes that are going on inside the computer apart from the application. There are so many works that are going inside the computer. Let's say, for example, when you turn on your computer, your operating system only turns it on. You are able to see the windows. So the operating system is controlling a lot of processes in the computer, and everything is controlled, managed, and executed by the operating system. Number two, memory storage and management. Now, I'm sure we all have heard about the RAM capacity of our mobile phone. We all know how much RAM we have in our phone. Sometimes we have 4 GB of RAM, sometimes we have 8 GB of RAM, and we also have older phones having 2 GB of RAM. So, we all know that if I want to have a good phone, I should have more RAM capacity. Otherwise, what will happen? The phone will start working slow. Or even the phone, while it is working, it can stop working if I open up a lot of applications, correct? So that is known as memory management, memory storage and management. I know myself that I don't have to open up a lot of application. Otherwise, my phone will not work. Same things happen inside the computer also. Let's see. An operating system manages the sharing of internal memory among the multiple applications. So if I want to run multiple applications, I have to share the memory. I'll give you another example. If I'm trying to drive a car on the road has to be shared by each and everyone. It is not just one person who can drive in the middle of the road. Everybody has to share the same road. So the road has a limited width, it has a limited capacity. However, it will allow a number of cars to pass along it. In the same way, the RAM capacity of a mobile phone or a computer is limited. But who is trying to manage that memory? The operating system. It also takes care of the fact that one process should not consume the memory allocated to another process. So if I have given some memory or if I have given some space to one car to pass, the other car should not occupy that space to pass itself. In the same manner, if some space is given to Notepad, then Microsoft Paint should not take up that space to go ahead and run. Okay. Otherwise, the Notepad will not work at all. An operating system has to make efficient utilization of different types of memory. So operating system is trying to control different types of memory. Let's see. One is RAM. We are all aware about it. RAM stands for random access memory. The other one which is mentioned is cache memory. Now cache memory is a very fast, short memory, or a very limited memory, which is situated very close to the CPU, so that the CPU can fetch instruction or fetch data in a very faster speed. Getting data from a RAM takes a lot of time for the CPU, but getting data from a cache memory takes lesser time. So the larger the cache memory, the better the performance of the computer, so as to ensure proper execution of every process. So the operating system is very crucial in memory management. Third, file management. A computer system uses a lot of data which is stored on the secondary storage devices. So what are our secondary storage devices? Like our hard disk, our floppy disk or CD drive, and or the USB. But ultimately, when I plug in my USB, who is controlling the USB also? The operating system. So if inside a computer I have a hard disk, I have different partitions of the hard disk. I have C drive, D drive, E drive. So who is creating those drives? It is my operating system which is creating that drive. So a computer system uses a lot of data which is stored on the secondary storage devices. The computer system keeps track of information regarding the creation, deletion, transfer, copy, and storage of files in an organized manner. So what does it mean? So if my computer is there, if I have got a different, a lot of folders in my computer or even in my phone, then the operating system on a computer or on a phone is going to manage those folders. It also maintains the integrity of data stored in these files, including the file directory structure. So what do we mean by integrity of the data? So let's say if I have one file, it will not automatically go into the other file. Or if I delete one file in one folder, the other files are safe. All right. So that is the integrity of the data stored in these files, including the file directory structure. So what is a file directory structure? The operating system is trying to maintain a tree like structure inside it, and the operating system knows that in my C drive how many folders I have, and within each folder how many other folders I have. Let us come to the next page and see what is the next point given. So the next point which is mentioned is device management. So what is device management? How do you think the peripherals connected to the computer system work? An operating system plays a very important role in coordinating and controlling various input-output devices. It receives requests from these devices, performs a specific task, and communicates back to the requesting process. This is the reason why we state the operating system handles the input-output operation of the computer system. So what are peripherals, guys? Peripherals are the mouse, the keyboard, monitor, printer, every device that you connect to your CPU, that you have connected to your computer, that is your CPU mainly, is your peripheral. So who is controlling those peripherals? How do you control when you press any key on the keyboard? How does the computer comes to know what it needs to do? So you press the key on the keyboard, the keyboard instruction, the keyboard signal will go to the operating system, and the operating system will talk to the hardware. So that is how all the devices that we have inside the computer are controlled and managed by the operating system itself. Security and protection. The inbuilt security module of any operating system protect the resources and the information is stored on a computer against unauthorized access. Now, I am 100% sure most of the students that we have a lock screen on our cell phones, or we also have a password on the computer. So where does the lock screen feature or the pin feature or the fingerprint feature comes in? On the mobile phone. That comes from your operating system of your cell phone, of your mobile phone, which is Android. So if I want to protect my phone, if I want to protect the information that I have in my phone from any person who is not supposed to see that, I will use a password, or I will protect it using my password feature, which is provided by the operating system. Enforcement of priority system. An operating system determines and maintains a specific order in which various jobs are executed in the computer system. What does that mean? So let's say, for example, I need to do a lot of work inside the computer. I have my notepad going on. I also have my Microsoft Word. I'm also playing a game. I'm also trying to print my project. So how do I go ahead and determine, or how do I decide which task or which action needs to be done first? That is decided by the operating system itself. Provision of user interface, very important, very important. So the operating system provides me a user interface. It provides me uh, a way to interact with my hardware. As I have already informed in the previous videos, the operating system help us to go ahead and talk to the physical component. So an operating system provides a systematic user interface which facilitates and structures the interaction between the user and the computer. So if I want to interact with my computer, I need to have an operating system. And to do so, I need to have an interface, or I need to have some medium through which I can talk to the computer. It can either be a CUI, which is character user interface, or GUI, that is graphical user interface. So what is CUI? CUI, character user interface, is also known as CLI, which is command line interface. So if, let's say, for example, I want to go ahead and work on my computer, we used to have a software initially, an operating system that was called Microsoft DOS, disk operating system. In that operating system, just like Windows, to control the computer, I never used to have any icons. The only thing that I used to have was a black screen, and I used to have white alphabets written all over it. What is graphical user interface? Graphical user interface is the interface that we see on the Windows nowadays, wherein I have all the icons, I have all the pictures, I have the start button, and I can use a mouse to point on the screen. Job control. When a user wants to run an application program, it is mandatory to communicate the instruction to the operating system about the work to be done. So let's say a user wants to print a project. Okay. So the user has to tell the operating system that I'm going to type a project on the Microsoft Word, and then afterwards I will take a printout. Using a standard set of system commands called JCL, which is job control language, a user can communicate with the operating system. So whenever the user wants to communicate with the operating system, what is the language used? Job control language. That is the language that is used by the operating system in order to go ahead and talk to the user and the physical hardware. Now, let us go ahead and try and understand what are the different types of operating system. In the past 3 decades, computers have taken a giant stride towards excellence and high performance. From bulky physical configuration, computers have miraculously transformed into one of the most powerful yet completely portable devices. So computers have changed from being very, very big to laptops and to mobile phones that we can put in our pocket. Similarly, operating systems have also been developed at a rapid pace to serve the needs of the user. So the operating system have also changed from running on a very big computer to running on a small desktop or a laptop. Following are the different types of operating systems. Number one, single user operating system. Single user operating system was the initial version of the operating system that allowed only one user to work with the computer at a time. So in single user operating system, only one person can work on the computer at one time. The most popular single user operating system were Microsoft DOS, Microsoft Windows 3.1, Microsoft Windows 95. Due to their limited feature, they are no longer in use nowadays. So what was the problem with these single user? Only one person can work at a time. Multi-user operating system. Multi-user operating system allows more than one user to use the same computer at the same time or at different times. Let us go ahead and see the work of the use of multi-user operating system in the next video.